As a people, we are great at building wealth, creating wealth. Unfortunately, we're not great at keeping it in our family for multiple generations. I talk about the Rockefeller mindset and how to have the mindset of build it once, build it one
Okay.
time. All we got to do is build it once and employ the strategies that will keep it in our family for multiple generations, namely
Malik's First Job Podcast, here to answer any questions that y'all ask. Financial literacy and resources. Parents and young people becoming bosses. CEOs, future leaders, entrepreneurs. Conferences and boardrooms getting sponsors secured. If you want generational wealth, Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip with information to help. Malik's First Job Podcast. Malik's Podcast. Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Kerwin Phillip. Malik's First Job Podcast. Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Generational wealth.
Greetings, everyone. How you doing? This is Kerwin Phillip here with another episode of the Malik's First Job Podcast, where we discuss leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. Today, we have another great guest, a brother who I met a few weeks ago at the Black Enterprise Black Men Excel Conference or Black Men Excel Summit. The good brother Chike Ozuka. He's the teens money guy.
yes, thank you, brother.
Right, he's a licensed financial professional with over 17 years of teaching financial literacy and generational wealth to teenagers. So we just want to, he has a book out as well. He's an author. Just want to kind of share some of his insights, share his book, and just kind of pick his brain a little bit, right? So let's go ahead and welcome Chike to the Malik's First Job Podcast. Man, how you doing, brother?
I'm great, brother. Happy Friday and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever people are watching this, man, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for the invite, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, so talk to us about your book. You have your book. It's called the Teen's Guide to Wealth. Right?
Yes.
So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yep. So it's the number one resource that is teaching teenagers everything they need to know about wealth from a biblical perspective. So in the book, we are addressing things that parents aren't talking about. We are addressing things that the school is not talking about. And we are addressing things that, unfortunately, our churches are not talking about. And that is the number one thing that God talks about in the Bible, which is wealth, prosperity, abundance, and money, right? There's over 2,300 verses and scriptures about money and wealth and abundance in the Bible, yet parents think it's taboo to talk about it with their kids. Schools are doing a horrible job at implementing it into their core curriculum standards. And the church, whether the pastor doesn't have enough confidence in their own financial knowledge to talk about money, or they don't want to be looked at as the prosperity preacher,
right?
Even though God talks about prosperity, they're not talking about it in church. And so unfortunately, by the time our kids are learning about compound interest, by the time they're learning about the rule of 72, by the time they're learning about how to monetize their God-given gifts, by the time they learn about the financial decisions that are building their financial house either on rock or sand, they're 40 years old. Right. And they've missed decades of interest and saving and budgeting and investing and financial habits that are building them up to be the adults that ultimately we want them to be.
Right.
Right. So that's what is in the book. Right. And what we did was we wanted students and teens to be able to learn about entrepreneurship. Right. We wanted them to learn about life insurance. We want them to learn about investments, and we want them to learn about home ownership and real estate, which are the four things that build wealth in this country. Right. And so when you look at the Teen's Guide to Wealth, wealth is actually an acronym for words of wisdom about wealth, entrepreneurship, and monetizing your God-given gifts. A is all about building your financial house. L is life insurance and investments. the T is tithing, volunteering, and sowing seeds, right? So we helping kids understand, if you want more money and you're not sowing money seeds, you're not going to get more money.
Yep.
Right. But also the first 10% tithe is what God is requesting of us so that he can protect us and do all that, rebuke the devourer, all that. And then the H is home ownership and real estate, helping them understand that back in the day, if you had land, you were wealthy. If you didn't, you weren't. So that's how most millionaires and billionaires built their wealth, was starting with real estate. And so in all that, we also talk about non-traditional careers in insurance, investments, in real estate, right? And so, after so many years of advising adults and working with adults in terms of their money goals and their money habits, I realized there was a gap. And so a couple years ago, I learned that it's okay to talk about faith and finances, right? And working with young people for so long, almost, I don't know, I've been working with young people since I was 12, so it was almost 30 years, right?
Okay.
And I realized that they're not financially savvy in terms of they can spend it. They can spend. If number one person that spend money is kids, right? We know that. But in terms of how to make it, how to grow it, how to protect it, how to invest it, and then ultimately how to pass it on to their future kids, right? There's that lack. So now when I'm working with my clients, if they have kids, their kids are in the room or on the Zoom, right? To make sure that, I don't care if they're 6 years old, 16 years old, they're in the room and they're listening to the conversation we're having.
Right.
And if they don't get it today, they'll get it at some point. So that when they do get, life insurance policy, death benefit, or, IRA money that their parent never was able to utilize, or a home in their name through a trust, they know what to do with it. They know how to protect it. They know how to keep it. They also know how to grow it from whatever they got, instead of spending it. And just ultimately knowing that as a people, we are great at building wealth, creating wealth. Unfortunately, we're not great at keeping it in our family for multiple generations.
Yeah.
And so with my speaking engagements, right, and I have one coming up in Jersey, I talk about the Rockefeller mindset and how to have the mindset of build it once, build it one time. All we got to do is build it once and employ the strategies that will keep it in our family for multiple generations, namely trust, like, some corporations, whether it's LLC, S Corp, C Corp, whatever, life insurance, right? Now I'm talking permanent life insurance. I have term and I have permanent. Specifically with generational wealth, we're talking about permanent. However, in talking about life insurance, term insurance does provide a huge death benefit. However, if we're giving a check to a person versus putting it in our trust, two totally different things will happen. Right.
Can you elaborate on that for a little bit for the listeners?
Yeah, I mean, so I share the story of Cornelius Vanderbilt and John D. Rockefeller, right? 1877, both of them had over $100 million amassed. And so imagine in 2023, you have a net worth of $200 billion. And you can't spend it all.
Right.
However, that you want it to be in your family for multiple generations. And so what Cornelius Vanderbilt did was he hoped and he prayed that his family would keep the money in their family for generations. Ultimately, it only took 3 generations for them to squander $100 million. And I don't even know, like in 1877, I don't even know what cost that much to be even. A house was
spend it on, right?
A house was $5,000, if that. A car was, you know what I mean? Now
Yeah.
we have cars that are 2.3 million, so I can see that. But even today, $200 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Conversely, what John D. Rockefeller did was he wanted to make sure not only his money, but his mindset traveled throughout the generations. And so what he did was he created a family trust. And with that trust came trust advisors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, he had his financial team, which was his financial advisor, his estate attorney, and his tax advisor. And he had his family all in the room together.
Right.
Not only we got the trust advisors, we got the financial advising team, the tax advisors, the estate attorney, and we got the kids, we got the grandparents, we got the parents all in one room. And so now everybody's on one accord.
Right.
And that's what we're lacking, right? We're not all on one accord.
Right.
And so that's the difference between leaving money to a trust where now the trust protects from three things. It protects from lawsuits and litigation. A trust
Right.
protects from taxes. And the number one thing that takes family money away over generations is family members with really bad spending habits.
Yep.
And so when you have a trust, you're able to protect the assets of the family from those three things and keep it going for multiple generations. And so that's why I always share that story.
Yeah.
Because as easy as it might be to think we can amass $200 billion of net worth, imagine thinking how fast it could be gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
There's a statistic. I can't think of it off the top of the head right now, but it speaks about how much wealth is lost from one generation to the next. Like from the first to the second generation, a certain percentage is lost, and then from the second to the third, I think
Gone.
it's almost completely gone.
Gone. Yeah.
And that's one of the things which I emphasize, which I kind of speak about focusing in and teaching children, is that,
Yeah.
and I think I read it on your website as well. What's the use in us building all this wealth and assets that when you pass away, you pass it down to your children, and they take the house, they sell it, and buy some brand new J's, right? Or they
It's
go to
crazy.
Cancun and do
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it's so vital. I just sent the email out to my email network
Mm-hmm.
about the 5 myths about talking to kids about money. And one of those myths is the instant gratification myth, right? How to
Right.
teach kids about saving and delayed gratification, but also, teaching them about the material possession equals success myth, right? Because you own a nice car and you own these nice clothes or watches or jewelry, you are successful, right? And how to help kids understand. And sometimes we just got to show them Baby Boy, where he was like guns and butter. Like it's about guns and butter, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's about the real estate and the art and the assets and the investments and the stocks and the bonds, not about the cars, the jewelry, the clothing that once we get it, it's the value of it's just going down. You
Real
know?
quick, it's funny. I saw a video last night on Instagram. The brother was saying that people buy liabilities to impress broke people, right? Like you buy sneakers to impress broke people. You buy clothes. You buy a car. You know, whereas when you buy real assets, that's where wealth is built. That's where it's generated, not in
Yeah.
things that's going to lose value over time. And you hit
It's
it
and
right
it's
on the head.
and it's all a mindset, really. It's all really
Yeah.
just a mindset. We were having this conversation the other day about, poor middle class and upper class, right? Poor people don't usually have debt, right?
Right.
Because they ain't got nothing. Middle
Right.
class people are the ones that are using their income to purchase liabilities.
Right.
And so that's a mindset, right? Like you said, keeping up with the Joneses or the Jacksons or the Vanderschmidt, whoever you were trying to keep up
Yeah.
with. But then the wealthy, the upper class people, they use their income to invest in income producing assets,
Exactly.
income producing assets that they keep, yet it's paying them.
Right.
And then they use the income from the income producing assets to then go and for the
Deploy.
liabilities, right?
Right.
So it's a way that and Myron Golden paints the house picture about money comes in this window and middle class people immediately go to the liabilities and the money goes out the house, where the wealthy people go to income comes in, then they go to income producing assets, which then
Yeah.
pay for the liabilities. You know what I mean? So it's really mindset, and that's the point of this book. How do we get the right financial mindset in kids as early as possible? And even though it says teens guide to wealth, we did a virtual book club, which we do around the country, and we had third graders, fifth graders, eighth graders in the Zoom reading the book along with us. And so it says teens. However, I don't know how sharp your youth are, your kids are.
Right.
They could be on now, mind you, the eighth grader we had already was on his third book.
Okay.
The third grader and the fifth grader have a business where they
Right.
teach financial literacy to little kids. So
Wow.
it's possible to instill the right financial mindsets and habits in young people early on if we take the responsibility and not leave it to the church, not leave it to the school.
Hmm.
And another point of this book is to be that resource so that parents can talk to talk to their youth about money using this resource, right?
Yeah.
Schools can use this because the book is aligned with a lot of the core curriculum standards that the schools want to teach.
Right.
The book does that, right? And then for youth ministries and youth groups, the book is also helping them talk to their kids and their youth about money from a non-invasive way, right? Like, here's the book. The book is self-paced, it's interactive, it's just, they have to write, they have to read, they have to recall and retell what they're reading, then they have to speak to an adult in their life about what's in the book. So it's
Right.
not, and no shade, no knocking Rich Dad Poor Dad, because that book has great lessons in it.
Hmm.
However, that's a book you just read.
Right.
There's no part where it says, do you remember what this chapter was about? You know what I mean? Like, our book is like making sure they're not just reading it, but they're remembering it and they're able to write it down in their own words. And then they have to interact with an adult, parent, guardian, mentor, or teacher in their life to help them kind of, if they have questions about it, but also to ask the adult, what are the most important floors of your financial house?
Right.
And your dog's like, what? Because here's the worst thing. The worst thing is getting a kid or a young person excited about investing or mutual funds, and they go home like, Mom, I learned about mutual funds today, and the parents like, what? A what?
Yeah.
What? A mutual what?
Yep.
And it's like now the kid is like, dang, who can I even talk to about this?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's why it's important to make sure the young people and their parents are knowledgeable so that they can feed off each other.
Yeah. That's one of the things, me and a few friends of mine, we kind of spoke about is that you go and you teach the children, about the financial concepts and everything. And, as you said, they get all excited about it. But then when they go home, the parents totally dismantle everything that you did. And then now the kid becomes,
Mhm.
upset and, not really as engaged in the content. And I
Yeah.
remember a friend of mine, he had bought a copy of my book. And he had, he was kind of joking about it. He had sent me a message saying that his son was checking him on certain things, right? And he was like, "Where'd you learn that from?" "Oh, from the book
Yeah.
you bought me, Dad. He told me to tell you da. Are you saving your 10%?" He's like, "Now you causing problems in the household," But he was joking about it, right?
No, but it's
But
real. It's
yeah,
real.
yeah, you
That's
know,
real, man. And we gotta make, and I sent another email out about how to create a family financial mission where
okay,
the parents and the kids are writing down goals and things that they want to accomplish by, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, so that can happen, so that the kids can respectfully be like, Mom, hey, Mom, remember we're saving. Did you save before you went on Amazon Prime, Mom? Did you did you buy these gifts with our income or from the money from the vending machine business? Did you buy my gifts from you know what I mean? Like it's we gotta and it's it's time to change, man. We we literally come from creation. We we are born creators, and it's time for us to like rise up and really just make sure that the same mindset, the positive parts of the mindset that these folks are using, the positive parts
Mhm.
we're using,
Right.
right? Like growing it, protecting it, and passing it on. And then when I say pass it on, it's more than just money, it's the mindset. Because
Yeah.
there's a study that the 70 or 80% of baby boomers that are retiring soon, their number one concern is that their next of kin is going to squander their inheritance on material possessions.
Yep.
Now you're like, oh, okay, that's normal, right? But that's because only 30% of them have done something about it.
Right.
Only 30% of them have had their kid in the room with them when they're talking to their financial advisor. And so of course you're fearful that your kid will squander your inheritance because you didn't do anything to teach them about how to not squander the inheritance.
Yep.
And so that's the point, that's the main thing of this book is like we got to start the money conversation early on in young people's lives. We got to help them establish some sound financial habits. We have to connect abundance and God's financial promises so that they understand that it's not really separate, it's one and the same. If you tithe, then, and I would share this, the Bible is a bunch of if then statements. If you tithe, then I will protect you. If you sow, then you will reap, right? If you build your house on rock, then it will be sturdy when the rain and the winds and the storms come, right? And a lot of us are trying to do the then part, trying to get the then, and we ain't do the if. And God's like, I promised it to you if you did your part. If you do your part, I'll do my part.
Yeah, you gotta take the first step.
Right. And so these young kids are now learning at a young age how they can be entrepreneurs or how they can monetize their gifts. They're learning about making the right financial decisions to build their financial house. They're learning about compound interest. And the rule of 72 is the number one important financial rule of our adult lives. Mind you, they over there getting quizzed on A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I can't remember the last time as a grown adult I have used A squared plus B squared equals C squared to get out of a situation.
Well, I have, right? And that was when I had to teach it to, like when my son had homework to do, I had to kind of go over it with him.
Oh, I mean, but yeah, okay, but here's the thing: you've never used it outside of maybe
Of
college.
course, yeah.
Now, for the engineers listening or the people that are architects listening, maybe y'all use it. for
Right.
us, for us folks, like
Regular
we got
folks.
quizzed on so many things that we're not actually using in our adult lives, but yet the rule of 72, they don't even teach that in math class. They don't teach that in science class. Right. And if our kids don't know that 1% sound good, but it's going to take 72 years to double $1 to $2, they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I don't got 72 years to wait.
Yep.
And then learning that, even the home ownership piece, I give an example of buying a single family house versus a duplex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just add one unit. And now you have an asset versus, you know what I mean? And that's something that you can leverage later on and all that. So, we wanted to make sure they understood one, the four things that build wealth, right? We wanted to make sure they understood how they, at their age, can start to build their own wealth, not outside of whatever, money their parents are giving them. And then what to do with that money once they get it. Right. And so the book is really comprehensive. And so we have something coming out next year which is, so the book is about like the tools, the tips, and the tricks on how to build wealth. The next book that I'm working with a psychologist on is going to be the mindset of wealth.
Okay.
Right. More about the Rockefeller mindset and teaching that. And so I'm excited, man. I'm excited. We got some big stuff planned for next year.
That's what's up.
We are going to get right back into the episode, but this week's podcast is sponsored by Black Wall Street, the board game. If you're looking for a fun, innovative way of teaching your family about the history of Tulsa Black Wall Street and increasing financial literacy at the same time, go to playblackwallstreet.com and get yourself Black Wall Street, the board game. This game will literally teach you some of the real history behind Tulsa Black Wall Street and introduce you to the 3 basic business structures: sole proprietor, LLC, and corporation. Again, head to playblackwallstreet.com to secure Black Wall Street, the board game for your family today. Let's get back to the episode.
Are you looking for a resource to help introduce children to key aspects of financial literacy? Look no further. Let me introduce you to the book, Malik's First Job: Financial Principles for Teens, written by author Kerwin Phillip. This book is about a young man who goes to his first job interview, later sits down with his father to learn how to manage his money. This book not only speaks on financial literacy, but it also provides tips on key interviewing skills, the importance of community, and the power of family. To purchase your autographed copy, please visit maliksfirstjob.com. You will not be disappointed.
That's what's up. So I know, I guess, with the book and, you incorporate the Bible and, spirituality into the concepts, right? Have you got any pushback? I know sometimes you try to go into schools and stuff, and
Yep.
They're kind of leery about that. So how do you work around that? Did that pushback that you may receive?
Yeah. So, what I realized was God reminded me that I'm not here to fight the fight of that. Like I remember, back in Jersey when I was doing workshops, I work with public, private, charter, parochial. Why? Because I don't care who thinks they're best.
Right.
I'm here for the kids. And so I had a school, it's so hilarious. And so the lady was on the phone going through the website and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is great. Oh my." And then she's like, "Wait, oh my God, does that say God?"
Wow.
I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, we can't do that." "We can't what?" "Oh, we can't push God on these kids." I said, "Okay, no problem. No problem." I said, "Give me a week."
Mm-hmm.
Within a week, God gave me the words to create the school version of the Teens Guide to Wealth.
Okay.
And so instead of in chapter W, where it's words of wisdom from the Bible and the scriptures that pertain to the different parts of wealth, Rihanna said it, Jay-Z said it, Mark Cuban said it, Warren Buffett said it, Oprah said it, Shonda Rhimes said it. You know what I mean? Like Bill Gates said it. Like, so it's their words, kind of what God said though, but it don't say God, right? And then in chapter T, instead of tithing, volunteering, and sowing seeds, we named it investing your time, your talents, and your treasures.
Wow.
So in the school version, there's no scriptures, there's no God, there's none of that. However, it's the same content.
Yeah.
So instead of me saying God has given you the power to create wealth, we say you have the power to create wealth.
Wow.
Right? And we still talk about abundance because that's not a spiritual thing. That's a reality thing. Some people are abundant or think abundantly. Some people think lack. Right. And so we created the book for the schools or the entities that are not okay with us talking about God and money and faith and finances. And so, like I said, I'm God's like, yo, I'm not here for that fight. Just Chike, do the book. Because my normal self. What you mean you ain't? What you mean? Like, why can't you talk about God and money? The money come from God. What you mean? God talk about money all throughout the Bible. That would have been 2019 Chike.
Right.
2022 Chike was like, you know what? No problem. Give me a week. I got something for you. And she read it, the school version, and signed off on it. You get what I mean? So We have
that's
both.
that's when the wisdom kick in. It's like, you know what? How do I pivot? Because as an entrepreneur, you're gonna be thrown different challenges. And you
Yeah.
got to figure out, okay, well, do I just, throw in a towel and just give up, or do I figure out a way to pivot around this particular situation? And what you did, you pivoted. You said, okay, well, all right, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So let me give you the remix. Right?
Yup.
I'm gonna give
And
you the full remix.
yep. And we working on a Spanish version too.
Okay.
I had a client come to one of my now a client, but just he was a participant in one of my workshops. And she's like, hey, we have this whole Hispanic population, Latino population that, doesn't want to, like, would need the knowledge, but English, they're not necessarily that comfortable with English.
Right.
And I said, well, great. I need you because I can't put this book into Google Translate because it's not going to come out right.
Yeah.
So she's helping me translate it into the language that is conversational. They'll understand it.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm excited about that as well. We're just fulfilling the assignment that's been put on me, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
Again, nothing worthwhile is, right? And so I'm just blessed that I've been speaking for 13 years, and my first book came out in 2010 or 2012 rather. And so I'm not new to this. I'm just learning how to package it in a way that people get it, people like it, it's helpful to people. And I'm not because every other book I've done this is the book, this is the version, this is it. But now we got the scripture version, we got the school version, about to have the Spanish version. And yeah, man, it's exciting times. It's really, really exciting times.
Dope. So for people that want to get the book, where can they find it?
www.teensguidetowealth.com, www.teensguidetowealth.com. And my Instagram is at Chike_Ozuka. And the YouTube is the Teens Guide to Wealth on YouTube as well. And man, if you just put my name in Google, I joke about it, but I'm like the first 22 pages, man.
Not that many Chike Ozukas out there, right?
Not doing what I'm doing. No, there's a few, because Chike is a very common Nigerian name.
Okay.
But like doing what I've been doing for the years I've been doing it, no.
And what does it mean? What does the name mean?
So Chike is Igbo for the strength of God or the power of God.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny. I met a guy in the gym this morning, and he's half Ivory Coast, half Nigerian. And I'm like, what's your name? And he gave me his American name. He gave me Joseph. He's like, what's your name? I said, Chike. Wow, man, that's a power. He knew what it meant. Wow, man, that's a powerful name. I said, yeah, thank you. And I do think that's important though. What we name our children. I do believe that matters, and that's caveat. But like, that's just me. I'm unconventional. Name your kids something worth it, y'all.
No doubt. Give them something to live up to.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, man. Any closing thoughts you want to share before we wrap up?
Yeah. So here's what a mentor told me a while ago. If we don't teach kids how to make money while they sleep, they're going to work until they die.
Right.
And so if nothing else, get your kid the book. It's $20, y'all. Get the book for your kids and let them explore it for themselves. And let's teach them how to make money while they sleep so that they don't have to work until they die.
Right. Exactly. Thank you. All right. So definitely go out, go to the website, Teens Guide to Wealth, support the brother, get the book for your children. It's all about teaching the next generation. As we say that, it's no purpose in, building this wealth, talk about generational wealth, closing the wealth gap, if when we pass the ball to our kids, they're not ready. right? So we got to make sure that they're prepared and ready to take on these assets when we pass it down to them as we keep it moving forward. Oh, and one last thing before we go, right? So at the Black Enterprise Conference, right, they had a little barbershop talk, right? And I remember you standing next to me when they were talking about the best female rappers, right? And you was very passionate about it too when you were screaming it out, right?
Yeah.
So who do you feel is the greatest female rapper of all time?
So, because I've been in Jersey for so long, and I remember when she was with the Outsiders, like Rod Digger, y'all. Like Rod Digger got bars. Like I think she's on K Slay's new song, 200 or something like that.
Yeah, the Rolling 200
But
deep.
for me, in terms of rapping, not singing and soliloquies and bars,
Yeah.
Rod Digger, period, hands down. Rod Digger.
And what's funny, man,
Digger, first name.
And I just saw a video, man. She just got married.
Oh, word, yeah.
And Kane was presiding over the wedding, man. He was like the pastor, overseeing the wedding. So shout out to Rod Digger. Congratulations.
Yeah, shout out to my man Denton too. Denton, he rolled with Flip Mode and Busta and Rod Digger, the Outsiders. Denton, he's from Jersey, but he's out here in Georgia as well, I believe. Shout out to Denton, man.
Yeah, no doubt. I just remember
you
standing next to me like, Rod Digger. There's naming all Missy Elliott and all these other folks. We're like,
I had to get up on the chair. And shout that. That's the Newark in me right here, man. That's the Newark in me. Like, yo, y'all ain't talking about Rod Digger? What?
Yeah, man. But man, thanks a lot, man, for joining me today, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you for having me, man. It was an honor, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So again, thank you all for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, go out and get the book for your kids, Teens Guide to Wealth, right? And don't forget
Generational wealth.